listening to Can't Feel the Heat, the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival unofficial podcast, the #1 Coachella podcast on the internet. Our mission is to explore the complexities of Coachella, covering the news, music, artists, technology, and business of the greatest music festival in the world. Subscribe to this podcast, follow us on Instagram at Can't Feel the Heat, and visit our website at www.can'tfeeltheheat.com. Can't Feel the Heat is produced by Tom Nash in Redondo Beach, California.
Welcome back to Can't Feel the Heat, hosted by Tom Nash and Vanessa Franko. And today we are talking about the most anticipated news of Coachella. When is it coming back? And we think we figured out the mystery.
Get ready, kids. We are going back to the desert in April 2022. More specifically, what we think, weekend 1's going to be April 15th and 17th, followed by weekend 2, April 22nd to 24th.
It's really exciting to have these dates on the calendar now, even though Coachella hasn't announced anything. But yesterday I was having kind of a slow day, feeling, not really feeling it. But then I log onto Reddit and I see that Rage Against the Machine has announced tour through 2022. And there's a nice 3-week gap right in April. And I think they're going from somewhere in the Southwest from before those dates to Northern California afterwards. So it's a perfect geographic fit. It could be that we're 1 week off, but there's another announcement from the band Paratrees, who I'm a big fan of, who actually just dropped an album a couple weeks ago that I missed and just found out about as well. But Paratrees is playing in Chicago during that first opening in the Rage Against the Machine schedule. What would make a lot of sense is that it's going to be the second and third weeks of the gap. And those dates are April 15th through 17th and April 22nd through the 24th.
And you already got your Airbnb, right?
Yeah, I got lucky because the prices haven't spiked yet. I can tell it's not Coachella pricing. So I'm a little worried they're going to cancel on me once they realize that Coachella is going to happen those dates. So knock on wood that doesn't happen, because that has happened to me before when I booked for October. They announced it was moving to October 2020 and I quickly booked an Airbnb for those dates. And then an hour later, they're like, oh, we realized that's when Coachella's happening. We're not going to honor these pricing that you just booked an hour ago.
That's so wrong. We've had a similar situation too because we end up renting a house for the whole month because we're out there for both Coachellas and Stagecoach. But yeah, the timing makes sense. It's typically if you look at all the Coachellas since the twin Coachellas have existed in 2012, the timing makes sense that it's going to be the 15th through the 17th, the 22nd, the 24th, and then Stagecoach is going to be that last weekend of April 29th to May 1st. That's what I think we're going to see. And I think it's actually going to happen, which is even more exciting.
Yeah, there's a lot of time. We have a full year. So there's going to be a lot of test runs of other festivals. It's seriously, it's a year out. So good likelihood that it's actually going to happen. The other thing I wanted to add too is we're looking at 3 acts, Rage Against the Machine, and then supporting Rage on their tour is Run the Jewels, right? And Run the Jewels is another 2020 Coachella act. And Paratrees is another 2020 Coachella act. So what we're seeing here is that there's 3 artists from 2020 that are carrying over to 2022. And I think that's a big overall trend that we're seeing also in other festival lineups. Last episode, we talked about the Bonnaroo lineup kind of leaking and it wasn't official yet, but that lineup's kind of officially out with a lot of the same 2020 acts. So basically there aren't a lot of big surprises. A lot of the 2020 lineups are just being carried over to, 2021, 2022 in Coachella's case. So I think we can start looking seriously again at some of the 2020 acts and watching very carefully and starting to assume that, a lot of those acts probably will come back for 2022. What do you think about that, Vanessa?
I think we're going to see a lot of those, right? Especially with Rage, it was such a big deal. Run the Jewels makes sense. I think you're going to see it with some of the really big artists. And I think you're going to see it with a lot of the smaller, the fine print artists. Now, what I think is going to be interesting, Megan Thee Stallion can headline now. Does she actually move up to a headliner? Does Travis Scott go away because he's doing, something in Fortnite again? And does Megan Thee Stallion move up? That's what I think is going to be interesting. Or do we see someone like Billie Eilish come back now as a headliner? So I think that's where we actually might see some more movement. I feel like Rage was locked in, right? Like Rage was going to do Coachella. They're like, if we're coming back, this is what we're doing. I'm curious to see how the rest of it shakes out, because some of those artists, again, even if they don't play Coachella, Megan Thee Stallion can headline now. Like, is she going to want second billing at Coachella? I don't know.
And with the Coachella 2020 lineup, it had two rare headliners, right? Between Rage Against the Machine and Frank Ocean. So seeing that we were already going to get Rage back, people were always joking around with Frank Ocean's even going to show up. So likely, I think it's a strong possibility that he won't be back in 2022, and maybe Megan Thee Stallion slides up to the headlining spot right there.
Yeah, that could very well.
Pure speculation.
We know nothing. And I will say, Frank Ocean did show up at the last FYF that happened. He was there. He even brought back Brad Pitt with him. So I mean, I feel like Frank Ocean keeps getting bashed for like all the times he canceled on things, but I feel like he's turned the corner. And at least in my experience, the last thing he said he was going to show up to, he showed up.
So there's a lot of other big news as well, Vanessa, since we just last spoke a couple weeks ago. What are you seeing out there?
Okay, so this is a big thing for anyone listening to this podcast. If you are not in California, you may not know that in California, we are going to be able to see live performances again. As of June 15th, as this is right now, we were recording this in mid-April. The state said this week, basically, as of June 15th, if this progress continues, everything can open up to pre-pandemic levels. That's a big deal. The state's top health official actually name-checked Coachella in his briefing this week about this. Like,
that's pretty cool.
And this is where the caveat comes in, right? Large day events, for example, Coachella, they don't have the path for those to occur. So they're saying they don't know what that's going to be, what the situation is for festivals yet, which makes me think like, what's going on with Hard Summer? Like, is that stuff going to stay the same? But what they are saying right now is that conventions of 5,000 people or more have to have full vaccination or COVID testing at least until October 1st. Now, everything changes like once a week in California these days about openings and reopenings. So who knows if this will like actually stay in place until October, or if hopefully, yay, we've all beat the coronavirus and festivals come back much sooner. It's going to be interesting. Now, you would think all the venues are like, yay, June 15th, we're all going back to business. That's not what's happening. So we talked to a bunch of people this week. My colleague, Peter Larson, actually talked to the main booking person at the Glass House, which is owned by Paul T of Golden Voice, who has Coachella. And they were already eyeballing September. So they had been kind of planning things for a September return. I would say knowing the relationship of bands that play the Glass House and then who goes on to play Coachella, like something to watch for all of us, like excited about Coachella 2022. Keep an eye out on who they start booking at the Glass House this fall.
That's interesting. You're saying a lot of the acts that play there like the previous year will then go on to play Coachella that spring?
Not necessarily the previous year, but typically if you see small bands playing the Glass House, like up and coming bands, that means they are definitely on Golden Voice's radar. Yeah. And it's not like, you can definitely see a pathway between playing the Glass House and coming to Coachella.
Can you just talk about the Glass House a little bit? Because I've actually never been there.
Oh, the Glass House is magical. Okay. So I'm going to talk the Glass House. I actually knew about the Glass House long before I ever moved to California, because it is like this legendary punk venue, and it's in Pomona. So it's in downtown Pomona. You can take the Metrolink there. It's like literally across the street from the Metrolink station. And it's like one of the reasons it's like so hallowed in Southern California, like music history, is that it was one of the all ages venues. So it was all ages, and you can go see all these punk bands there. Like everybody's played there.
How does it compare to, have you been to Soma in San Diego?
I don't think I have been to Soma. I know of Soma, but I don't think I've actually ever seen a show there.
Yeah, it sounds like Soma.
It's kind of like what's the one in Santa Ana that's escaping my mind that used to be called the Galaxy? That's not the Galaxy anymore. It's not, is it the Galaxy? The one, it's got the Constellation Room. I'm blinking. I've been there. It's right off of Harbor.
The Observatory.
The Observatory. Thank you. So it's a little bit like the Observatory inside. Like you've got, but it's all flat. Like, it's smaller than the Observatory. It's cool. It's really cool. So they would only sell, like they didn't have beer for a long time or liquor because it was an all ages club. They actually built a bar next door called the Sarogami, and a few years back. So then you could go, like, if you were above 21, you could go back and forth between the two. But I mean, I saw like one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life was Butch Walker, fantastic singer-songwriter, big producer. He's produced for everyone from like Avril Lavigne to Weezer. He played a show there on his Sycamore Meadows tour, and it was like just one of those life-changing shows for me. I've seen so many great things. I think I saw the Get Up Kids there. I saw Fun. Remember Fun? Yeah, I saw them like before they got huge. They played there. They played Coachella, actually.
Do you like the format?
I remember the format. That was Nate's former band. Yeah, I like them. Yeah. I like Jack Antonoff's band, Steel Train, even more. They definitely played Coachella. They played, because I interviewed them at South by Southwest like a month before Coachella. Then that must have been in 2010, maybe? I think 2010. It's funny. I actually think I liked all of their previous bands more than Fun.
Yeah, I used to love the format. I booked them at University of San Diego, and I think that was one of their last shows.
Oh, wow. That would be fun. I would love to get the format back. Format for Coachella.
They did reunite. They were going to reunite in 2020. They had a bunch of dates announced. So that would be a great Coachella reunion. I think there's a following there for sure. Yeah,
I would totally go watch that. That would be great. You heard it here first. If we manage to manifest it with our minds, Tom, we can tell the people that. So anyway, Golden Voice owns the Glass House, right? And they book a lot of shows there. In fact, if you ever see those shows where like Golden Voice Presents April, which like everybody calls local Coachella, but they call it Golden Voice Presents April. A lot of those shows happen at the Glass House, and also like around the corner at the Pomona Fox, which is a bigger theater, it's got like a full balcony. It's not unlike other Fox theaters around Southern California, like in Riverside. So, those are things to watch. So if you see people playing the Pomona Fox and the Glass House, those are ones to eyeball. But Golden Voice said basically they're not opening until they can be at full capacity. So I would imagine that would mean their festivals too. So I don't think we're going to see like a Tropicalia. I don't think we're going to see Coachella in October, as we've talked about. So it's kind of interesting. And they have been very like adamant about like, we want to do this when it's safe to do so. So I think that's what we're going to see. But I do have good news. Tom, are you ready?
Okay.
I have your summer plans ready for you. The Hollywood Bowl's coming back this summer, actually starting next month.
Yes, I love the Hollywood Bowl.
So this is big news that came out this week. Hollywood Bowl is doing 4 shows free shows for like frontline essential workers as a thank you, starting in May. They're going to have 2 shows with Gustavo Dudamel and the LA Philharmonic. They're going to have 1 show with Flying Lotus, another Coachella artist, and La Santa Cecilia, who I don't remember if they played Coachella or not, but they should because they're great. So they're doing those 4. And then Hollywood Bowl, they're in talks, I think, with Live Nation to have an abbreviated 14-week season. So we could see some big shows coming back to the Bowl, which is big outdoor historic venue this summer. Very exciting.
So Hollywood Bowl is my favorite music venue, hands down, other than Coachella, of course. But it's like you would go to the Hollywood Bowl just to experience the venue. And the music is almost just like icing on the cake. And they have these little secluded picnic areas where you can get there early. And they also, certain events are really relaxed about what you're allowed to bring in. So those picnics can be pretty epic, especially if you get there like right when it opens up and really make a day of it. I've seen some amazing shows there. One that really stands out to me is LCD Sound System with Hot Chip opening, who are 2 of my favorite bands. And we had great seats, and it was just so amazing to see James Murphy in that setting and just realize that this guy is just a classic performer. Seeing him sing his butt off, and he looked so like established and sophisticated. And it was just the perfect setting to see LCD Sound System. I think that was like their kind of going away tour, which ended up, of course, came back a few years later. What about you, Vanessa? What have you seen at the Hollywood Bowl?
That's so. I've also seen LCD Sound System at the Hollywood Bowl, but I saw them open for Arcade Fire on the Neon Bible Tour. And okay, So it kind of ruined the Hollywood Bowl for me because a friend of a friend worked for the LA Philharmonic and we had these box seats, right? So, and it was one of those where you could bring things in. So we were like bringing in wine and there's brie and there's grapes and like we have a whole charcuterie board. And I'm like, this is the most incredible thing I've ever been to in my life. And then I look up and James Spader is like standing in front of us during the arcade, which by the way, James Spader did not dance during the entire Arcade Fire set, which I thought was very odd. But I mean, we were like right there and it was so incredible because I'd only seen the Hollywood Bowl like in the old Bugs Bunny cartoons, right? Like when Bugs is like lead conducting the orchestra.
I did not know about this.
Yeah. He's like, do you remember that? Like in the old Bugs Bunny cartoons when he's like there leading an orchestra, like at this hatch shell, it's the Hollywood Bowl. It's wild. And I was very excited about that. So I saw this incredible Arcade Fire show. So it was 2007. It was 2007. So it was right after they played Coachella that spring. And then like late that summer, they were at the Hollywood Bowl and LCD Soundsystem opened. It was amazing. I saw Paul Simon there. Like I've seen so many great shows there. I saw McCartney there after Coachella too. Yeah. If you have not been to the Hollywood Bowl, do whatever you can do to get to the Hollywood Bowl. It's incredible.
I've got two more quick Hollywood Bowl stories, actually. My grandfather, who's from Wisconsin, I guess spent a couple years during his high school time living in Los Angeles. And we have this epic picture of him at the Hollywood Bowl. So it's like this thing in my family. Yeah. So I went there with my parents once for the Playboy Jazz Fest. And It was the funniest thing that the guy in front of us was smoking. And he turns around to my dad and asked him if he wants some. And then my dad is like, no, of course not. And that Playboy Jazz Fest was hosted by Bill Cosby of all people. And this is right before shit hit the fan. And he was so loopy and weird. He was just like stumbling on the stage saying all sorts of bebop, dibbity boo bop stuff. And it was so funny. And my story about the Hollywood Bowl spoiling me, I saw Robin and we were in one of those boxes. And this is when Robin was like a huge deal 10 years ago. Roykstop opened for her and they came out and did some songs together. And it was me and my wife in a box. And then there's 4 seats in there, right? So the one other seat was just this one guy by himself. And he was just chit-chatting with us saying that he had just gotten done recording Robin's music video for Dancing on Our Own. And he had the coolest bomber jacket I'd ever seen. It was like bright gold and like so elaborate and just like, this is so fun to share this experience with this music video producer. And we were just having a blast and dancing. But I know what you mean about like seeing James Spader and having him not dance because people are a little bit more like reserved there because it's kind of a sophisticated music going crowd. I think people at the Hollywood Bowl tend to have like been around the block a few times. So this isn't their first concert. So people there like don't really dance a lot. So what I actually do, my hack, is I always get a spot at the very top row. Like literally the top row. And then we can just stand up. It's almost like having that box experience where we don't have to worry about the people around us so much. And because it's such a big venue, tickets are actually pretty cheap up there. So we have like our picnic area at the very top and then we hang out at the very top and it's just like so chill and fun.
It's so much fun up there. And that's a great thing too. Yeah. You can find usually really affordable tickets. Or at least you could before the pandemic. I don't know because they are doing when they come back, they're coming back with limited capacity. So I imagine, a year off and limited capacity.
Oh yeah, they're going to be pricey.
They're going to be pricey.
I think the last show I saw there was Chromeo for like $20.
I wish I had gone to that show. I so wish I love Chromeo. I wish I
love them more.
I wish I had gone to see them. I want Chromeo and Hall & Oates to tour together and go to the Hollywood Bowl and that's what I want out of life right now. Oh, that would be so good. Love Chromeo. So we'll see. We'll see who they get. I mean, the thing is that right now, and we talked to some of the casinos in the area too. In Southern California, there are a number of tribal casinos. So they haven't actually had to be under the state rule. They have like tribal sovereignty, but they have not brought back big entertainment yet. And some of the ones we talked to, they're not even looking until like September. So I'm really curious to see who is going to come out in July. Like, are we going to see like the big stars we're used to seeing? Or is it going to be like Smash Mouth? I don't think it's going to be Smash Mouth. Smash Mouth would never play the Hollywood Bowl.
Are any of those casino venues awesome?
Yes, they are. I will tell you, I think that the show at Agua Caliente Rancho Mirage is one of the most beautiful venues I've ever been in. The sound is fantastic. There is not a bad seat in the house. I can't remember if it's 2,500 or 3,000 capacity. I was there. Opening night was Billy Joel, which was wild, like to see him in such a small place. I've been to a lot. I saw Ringo Starr there. That's a really great venue. I like that one a lot. Pachanga's Theater is also really fantastic. They have their theater and they have their event center. I forget what the event center is called. I haven't actually been to a show since they opened the event center, but the theater is, it's under 2,000 seats. It's very intimate. It's really good. I've seen a lot of shows. Like I've seen Slash there. I've seen Billy Idol there. I saw Steve Miller there. I saw Bob Dylan there.
Wow.
They get a lot of good ones. And then closer to LA, San Manuel is building. They're totally like adding a hotel and like revamping their entire property. And they are building a new venue, which will be better because their old venue where I saw some amazing shows was the bingo hall, and it was all flat and like the floor would shake. It was very weird, but I saw Jane's Addiction there and that was great. And like you can see some really, really great artists, like big artists play there. Like people like Pitbull always is at Fancy Springs, and the tickets I find are usually cheaper than if you were to go to Staples Center. And if you go and buy a lot of them in person, like at the box office at the casino, you save so much on fees. That's there's my pro tip.
And then you lose it all at the tables.
Yeah. Then you lose it all at the tables, but you can save money. The one that's a little weird, like Fancy Springs, it's a little weird. It almost feels like a high school gymnasium, like with bleachers. But it's like I've seen some great shows there too. I saw Weezer there. Weezer did remember they did the Memories tour where they were doing like Blue Album and Pinkerton. They played the casino.
My gosh, so fun.
It was so much fun. Rivers Cuomo like walked up to like where I was sitting, like because I was up in like the weird high school bleachers. It was great. So yeah, I highly I think they're good, and you can usually you can see some really great shows at like with smaller venue and sometimes smaller ticket prices. So I'm
good
excited
tip.
that those are coming back. Yeah. But you know what else is coming back? I've got more news because there's so much more.
Keep it coming.
Same but different festival. Have you heard of this one?
No.
So it's not, I feel like it's probably most like lightning in a bottle, but much smaller than lightning in a bottle, but the same kind of thing, much more like EDM vibes, a little eclectic, also has like wellness and yoga and more things than just music. So they came to Lake Paris State Recreation Area out here in Riverside County a couple years ago and did it. They announced they're coming back for September. I want to give those promoters a huge shout out because they have shared like the most comprehensive COVID festival plan I have seen yet. They are limiting capacity to 2,500 people. It's not that huge of a festival to begin with, but they're limiting at this point to 2,500. You have to have been vaccinated or you have to take a COVID test in order to get in. They're also planning for like a larger footprint around the stages. They're building the stages bigger. I think they have 4 of them.
Yeah.
And they're planning a larger footprint for people so you can be spread out more. And they're going to have wristbands that if you want people to stay really far away from you, like a wristband that says like, hey, please stay 6 feet away from me. That's really exciting. Like they've really thought it out and they're like, look, we're still trying to work other things out. Like, whether or not you can have ins and outs. But the fact that, because we've been asking people, what are your plans? Like, are people going to have to wear masks? And no one is there. Everybody is like punting the football and they're like, well, we're going to we're talking to state and local officials, but no one's like really saying anything. So I give them huge props for it. And they've got a really good lineup. They haven't announced the whole thing, but Big Gigantic's playing. I love Big Gigantic.
I love that band too.
Yeah. Like in STS9 and CloZee, who just, I think she's doing, I can't remember if she's doing hard. I know she's doing a couple dates at the drive-in in Anaheim. And that's just who they announced so far. There's like 20 other artists. That could be kind of my tip for like an under the radar, like festival where the people know what they're doing and they've got a plan. I mean, I've been to that. I haven't been to this festival, but I've been to other festivals on that site. Like you can definitely have the room to social distance 2,500 people. Like I don't think that will be a problem at all. And I'm really encouraged at how they are, proceeding already. That one I'm pretty excited about. Same, but different.
Tickets are available.
They are. They just went on sale. Also, because, this is the thing that's really exciting. Festivals are coming back. Nature is healing. Just yesterday, BeachLife announced that it's coming back in September. BeachLife happened, the first year was 2019, and it was like 2 weeks after Coachella ended, and it was on the beach in Redondo Beach. Like I think it's Seaside Lagoon, and they had.
Yeah, it's not really a beach.
Is it not? I thought that they had sand. It's not on the beach.
There's like a lagoon type thing, but I wouldn't say it's a beach. It's like a man-made lagoon type of situation.
Oh, okay. Well, I stand corrected.
It feels like
I thought it was
feels
near
like a pool.
Pier. Okay.
Yeah, it's near there.
It's near there.
But yeah, it's not exactly on the beach.
Okay. But the pier is on the beach, right?
Yes, but again, it's kind of like near there, but not right there.
Got yeah, because I missed it because it was the same time as Just Like Heaven in Long Beach that Golden Voice did. So I was at Just Like, we had to like split up, our team was like everywhere that weekend. I was at Just Like Heaven and other people were in Redondo, but it was a big success. It was, I think, aimed at more of an older audience, kind of that Kaboo audience. They had Willie Nelson, they had Bob Weir, they had Brian Wilson. And last year when it was supposed to come back, and it was a big success. Like everybody who went, they had like high-end food, like from some, Michelin-starred chefs. Everybody I heard like who went, like really loved it. They thought it was a good event. Last year they were supposed to come back and have like Steve Miller Band and Counting Crows. So that obviously got canceled because COVID happened, but they said they're coming back in September. They have not announced artists yet. And they have not said anything specific on what they're doing COVID wise, but I think that's going to be another option. There's going to be so many options for people because we have that, like, we know Ohana's coming back to Dana Point. Like they never changed their dates after last year. They're like, we're just moving it back a year. And, now we have same, but different. So the fall is going to be really busy for festivals in Southern California.
Basically going to be something going on like every weekend in September, October, and then probably a bunch of arena shows like in November and December.
Yeah, we might, November is not too late to do a festival depending on where you're at. Like I know that, is it Punk in the Park moved to November in Oak Canyon in Silverado and Orange County. I think that's got Pennywise and NoFX. I want to say they're on the bill this year. So we usually see some going into like early to mid-November. So I think, it's going to be, I'm going to need a cloning machine between now and then.
It's going to be amazing. Yeah. Maybe, do you see yourself going to as many festivals as you possibly can yourself? Is that what's on your agenda?
I'm getting my second dose very soon. So yes, I miss it. It's been so long. I really want to go. I'll say this, like of all the festivals that have been announced so far, I'm really excited about Same but Different because of one, I love Big Gigantic, and two, they like clearly have a plan. They are sharing the plan. They're being very upfront about this is like how we think it's going to work. We're going to make people be vaccinated or have to take a COVID test. Like I really support that. Music wise, I really want to go to Ohana because I've never seen Pearl Jam. They're like on my bucket list. So I'm really looking forward to that one. I've heard that one's just stunning. It's in Dana Point, and like that one's if it's not on the beach, it's like right across the street from the beach. I get confused with all the beach ones because I think the Doheny Beach Festival, the Blues Fest, moved away from the beach, but I think Ohana is still on the beach. So those are the ones that I really want to go to. I really want to see Pearl Jam. And then I don't know if Desert Days is coming back, but if Desert Days comes back to Lake Paris, I am all about that. That's like definitely become one of my favorite festivals in recent years. This
Lake Paris venue looks pretty sick. It looks like they're having a Floatopia day party where people can literally just like go float in the lake. That's unique, huh?
Yeah, it's really nice. It's really, you would not think, because it's in between Paris and Moreno Valley and Riverside County, and like you get off the freeway and you drive a couple miles and then you're like suddenly in this like really like beautiful state lake area that you would not have any idea existed unless you lived out here or went to a festival. And I mean, it's really nice. It's hiking and camping. And I mean, again, I really love it because it's like 15 to 20 minutes from my door to the festival, so that I can come home and sleep in my own bed, which is, something I love during festival season. But yeah, it's really cool, except when it's hot and it's like 100 degrees, because it does get warm out here in the Inland Empire.
That's why you got a Floatopia Photopia it up. Yeah, so the same, but different festival looks amazing. So many great things to be excited about. Vanessa, how can people follow the podcast?
Well, definitely follow us. You can find us on Spotify, and you can find us over on Apple. But you can find us on Instagram, even better, at Can't Feel the Heat. You can also go to can'tfeeltheheat.com. We're there. And if you want festival news from yours truly in your inbox every week, go to pe.com and search for Festival Pass and sign up. And then I'll magically appear and tell you all of the festival news, like a festival, like, I'm your festival fairy godmother, maybe, like in your inbox.